Hola amigos, and welcome back to another episode of La Vida Verde podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Human, here at Finca Vida Verde, and my guest today is my dear neighbor, Ali Nohinek. Ali is a yogi, a Thai medicine practitioner. She's the founder of Radiant Sun Foundation and Academy. She's a mama, and she's also recently moved here to Tacotal. She's one of my closest neighbors. It's going to be a great conversation. I'm looking forward to it. Hope you enjoy. Ali Nohinek, welcome to La Vida Verde podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Ali, I've been wanting to have you for a long time. We've tried multiple times to get you on the podcast because I love you for being the person that says it like it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're laughing because she knows that Ali and I have a lot in common that way. We're both very direct. We tend to start trouble. We stir the pot a little bit. Let's start with a little bit about your history. So I met you at the Full Moon Circle at La Colvia. You were living there for a short time. Mm-hmm. But I quickly learned after I was like, I just noticed you. And then the first thing I noticed was like, well, hey, y'all, what's going on? I was like, that girl is from the southern U.S. So, sorry.
Yeah.
That was a horrible Ali impression. Mm-hmm. Where are you from? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Arlington, Texas.
Uh-huh. Arlington is the home of the Texas Rangers.
That's right.
And yeah, like what was that like for you?
Oh gosh, growing up in Arlington, well, it was the suburbs, and I grew up with a very traditional life. We moved to California when I was 9 and came back when I was 12. No, 6, and then came back when I was 9.
Oh, like 2 years.
Yeah, 3.
3 years.
Yeah, it was great to live there, but yeah, it was nice living there. I grew up very, parents who were professionals.
Professionals. What does your mom do?
My mom's an interior designer. Okay. My dad was an engineer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. You had some nice inspiration. Did you take inspiration from them when you were young?
I wouldn't say that necessarily, but my mom always kept a very clean house and wanted everything to look perfect. And I think now, I like things to be feng shui. I think that was part of her influence.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? Like she took it one step, you took it a step further. Like, yeah, that's kind of what we do as children. Like, that's cool. Yeah. So, and your mom is Lebanese.
Yes.
And you were telling me, I think that they migrated to Mexico.
Through Mexico
from Lebanon.
In El Paso.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And landed in El Paso and then moved up to Dallas.
Well, my mom went to Texas Tech, and that's where she met my dad.
Oh, and is that in Dallas?
No, Texas Tech is in Lubbock.
Lubbock.
Yeah.
Oh, Texas is a big.
Yeah, it's a huge state.
It's a big state.
It's as big as Sudan, but we're Sudan separated into 2 countries.
I don't even know how big Sudan is.
Yeah, it's big.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big as Texas.
I think it's the biggest country in Africa.
Oh. And it's the same size as Texas?
Texas is big.
Wow. Okay.
It's the second biggest state.
Texas is?
Yeah.
What's the first?
Alaska.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is why I love Ali. She's a wealth of facts and knowledge. Okay, and another interesting thing I learned about you is that you actually met your husband, James, when you were kids.
Yeah, our families immigrated from Lebanon together on an onion boat 3 generations ago.
An onion boat, which is what? A boat full of onions?
Onions, transporting onions. They ate onions for 3 months. Yeah, it's true.
Just primarily onions.
Just onions.
And so his family might immigrated with your family.
Yes.
So his family kind of followed the same path.
Yes.
And okay, so but I know you also when we started talking, and it turns out she was living in Fort Worth, where my parents were living my mom was living in Fort Worth. My sister was there as well. And so I was going back there a lot to visit, and we just ended up being there at the same time, knowing some of the same people. Mm-hmm. And you had a yoga studio there, like a your own company that you had started.
I had a yoga studio for 9 years, and before then I had the Yoga for Athletes business. And yeah, we hosted all kinds of events, and when Human came, it was fun. We did a live music, yoga, sound immersion, but it was with the contact improv.
And Tantra. It was Tantra,
Yeah.
contact improv, and music.
Yes, it was so nice.
Yeah, we had a good time. And that was, what was the name of the studio?
Radiant Sun Academy.
And does it still exist there?
Yeah, I sold it to my best friend and my best student.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Fort Worth is like, if any of you have ever been to Fort Worth, it's a cattle town. It is not like a yoga mecca. So you were like kind of, and you were surrounded by like, I remember like a wedding store.
Oh, yeah.
And like, I don't know, what else?
It's a historic Hanley shopping district. It used to be the one, that area used to be the one train stop from Fort Worth to Dallas. That was the main highway.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, super interesting.
Back in the day.
Oh, okay.
That's an old historic building, very old, like 100. And when we landed there, it was 100 years old.
It was a beautiful studio. I remember that. So yeah, so like what got you into yoga? Like were you always into yoga, or like kind of tell us a little bit about your kind of like your evolution as a from like growing up, like what was your...
Yeah. Well, I grew up very high strung, and I was diagnosed when I was little with like ADHD and bipolar and manic depression, and they put me on a bunch of pills when I was like a little kid, basically. And then when I was 16, I started working out, and I was like, I don't need these pills. I just got off of them. And then just working out made me feel so much better and way more balanced. And then after I started getting into exercise, someone introduced me to Bikram yoga, which is like hot, intense,
intense yoga.
Really, which was really suited for me at the time. And I really liked the challenge. I started in high school, like just at the gym. And then when I started getting into Bikram, I was like, oh yeah, this is really good. It like fed my intensity. And then I got into like hot power yoga, which is like even more intense. And then I took it up a notch even more from there and went into like this hot Ashtanga fusion, which is like even more intense.
Hot Ashtanga yoga. Oh my God.
Like down dog to
yeah.
Even stand.
Right.
And it was to like an arc, crazy arm balance. And then from there, it was actually my yoga for athletes. When I started teaching yoga for athletes, that's when my practice started calming down, ironically, because I was like, what the heck do I do with these athletes? These people I was teaching primarily to high school athletes, and I taught all of my alma mater UTA's athletes. And I was like, I can't do exercise with them. They don't need that, one, and they need mobility training. And so I started kind of looking out, going to different classes, and that's when I kind of broadened my understanding of yoga. It took hundreds and hundreds of hours of more training, and now I have much more of a holistic understanding, and I would consider myself like a classical tantric teacher.
Okay, what does that mean to be a classical tantric teacher? Because for a lot of people, Tantra immediately, like, you start thinking of Kama Sutra, like, get it on, like, it has that kind of connotation in the modern world. But what does it mean to you? Because I understand, I've heard some of your philosophies, and I'm like, wow, that's interesting. It's not like anything I've heard before.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit.
So, I mean, first of all, the Kama Sutras are like a whole sutras in and of themselves. They're a whole text. Tantra actually has its own set of texts that are stemmed from a classic. When I say classical tantra, I'm referring to the texts, the Vedic texts that are more non-dualist in nature and are expressing and giving a multitude of modalities in order to achieve the ultimate state of yoga, which is, you could call it samadhi or divine union, or feeling the presence of God and everything. So Tantra is actually our way to, whether there's the right and the left hand, most people think there's only the sexy hand, or it's not even really sex, because the right and left hand, one is that you pull your senses back. You're like doing all the things to kind of pull away from the senses, and the other is you indulge in the senses in order to get access to God. You could do both. And I found over the years that yeah, that a lot of people who are classical tantrists do not indulge in the other path. They think it's taboo or negative in some way. But I've found that you can actually use both and they complement each other.
Yeah, I think being extreme on either side is, no one like, I don't know, if I have a hard time with fundamentalism of any sort or like purists of any kind. It's too doesn't suit me. I'm like,
oh yeah. You've heard of the Buddhists? There's a sect of Buddhists who they have one day of like drunken debauchery where they do everything is pure and they're like completely celibate, meditating all the time, and then one day they just
drunken orgy.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm more like, have drunken orgies more spread out throughout the year with like, yeah, like kind of, you know what I mean. Well, that's cool. So, and you teach locally. You're one of our local yoga teachers. For years, you were donating your time down. Well, I guess over a year. I guess, right?
Yeah.
When did you guys move here? How long has it been?
Last August.
Okay, so yeah, like not quite a year then.
A year and a half, or a year and a half almost. Oh, in August it'll be 2 years.
Okay, got it. Okay, so you've been teaching yoga at LEV for the community, which is really a great offering. And now are you still teaching yoga, or like you teach online? Or I know you have the Radiant Sun Academy. That's that's an online thing as well, or
yeah, it's moved. We have a 300-hour and a 200-hour yoga school, and we moved it. It was all in person, and now we're moving it online. So,
okay, yeah. And you also teach locally.
Yeah, I teach small groups.
You're local.
Yeah, on
yoga. Ali does your
in the yogashala, Lev yogashala every Saturday.
Or anywhere, right? You can teach anywhere.
Absolutely.
Private classes, whatever.
Yoga therapy.
And we have another guest soon that is another Thai massage therapist, which I'm remembering.
He and I do different. He's contemporary. I'm more traditional.
Okay. Yeah. What does that mean? What's the difference between traditional
Thai medicine? So a lot of people think Thai massage and they think stretching, but really Thai massage has very little to do with stretching. It's more of we're using the model of the element theory, which is the Thai medicine theory, which is similar to Ayurveda. You look at the elemental constitution of the individual and what's going on with them, and you treat the body accordingly. So I don't just do massage. I treat things like sprains, contusions, like trauma injuries, because basically anything that's external, I can treat it with herbs, herbal compresses, cupping, scraping. I do scar treatments.
Cool.
Yeah, like if you got hurt, I could help you.
I remember you. You're a healer. I remember you coming over here and harvesting gotukola for a while. And you were making compresses or some kind of...
Yeah, that was my scar treatment.
Scar treatment.
Yeah.
That's right.
I couldn't figure out how to dry it, but...
Well, you got to do it in the dry season, you could do it.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, it was the rainy season.
Right?
Yeah, which I guess you've learned a lot. So this is another interesting topic so you recently moved here you were in La Cuvia for the most part, for the whole time.
Yeah, the whole time.
Here. And then recently, like in the last month, you moved up here to Tacotal.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, what has been your experience? I mean, it's so obvious down in Ecovillage. It's a whole nother community. It's very much more, I'd say it's much more suited for children in some ways, like where there's a lot of kids. It's, they're running around, they have their crew. There's a school bus that comes and takes her. What's it been? How's it been different, like being up here? I'm just curious, what's your experience been here?
Well, I mean, we're living in a fully open house, so that's a huge difference. I love it here. I really like, I always wanted to live off grid and more closer to nature, because ultimately Ayurveda and these traditional medicines are all about coming back to your nature. Yoga, coming back to your nature, but nature is nature. Our nature is to be closer to this, and we can listen to our symptoms better if we're not so like distracted. And Levy's a little distracting.
Yeah, well, it is. I mean, it's because it's just a different reality. It is a different world.
You can't even go to the compost without having like a 10-hour-long conversation.
Yeah, because you're a very social person, as am I, and I would think I would enjoy, spending time there more.
Yeah,
it's a nice place. But for sure, there is a difference when I come up here and I'm surrounded by the trees and the elements, and it's got a sense of peace.
Yeah, absolutely. It's more peaceful. And yeah, I mean, I feel like now I can really listen. Like I can hear so much more because the house is open and everything that, I mean, I don't know, those coyotes
last night.
week?
No.
Are they?
Last night, they were right there.
Really?
I heard them. Like they woke me up at 4:45 in the morning, right there.
Yeah, this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in the middle of an amazing dream.
I thought it was a scream.
Oh, really?
People screaming.
Oh, yeah. No, the coyotes have been this last week have been super close and super loud. And yeah. But yeah, this morning it was like the most I think that was as close as I've ever heard them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. So, and how are the kids like getting along? And like, is it like, cause yeah, that house. So you're living in Gustavo and Rosa's house, which was one of our, like, it was probably like our fourth house ever here at Tacotal. Very open, very, very like rustic, like we all used to live. I always had, even my old house was like the most enclosed house here, which is very open. I think that's very open. Now I live in a much more like, I can shut windows and I like having that ability, to be honest. But it has, I also liked living like that. I think it's, everybody has their thing. But yeah, like, I don't even know, is there screens there?
There are some screens with holes in them, and then some screens, they work, but everything's open. Like we get like 1,000 leaves blown in the room. Yeah, no, it's a lot of leaves.
Yeah. So like that house really, I think was, no one was living there for quite a while, for the last couple of years, really. Nati was living there for a while, but then now
Nati
is Gustavo's cousin.
Oh.
Yeah, she was a single woman living there, just roots, man.
Nice.
Teaching, I think she taught Spanish down in Ecovillage. Super sweetie. But yeah, I mean, it was a lot for a single woman to be living like there. First of all,
that was before we got the solar panels.
And that was before the solar panels. Yeah, I was like, now you have a solar system. And how's that been like adapting to, because living in a solar system is different than living on a, it's different. You have to guard your energy. You have to be mindful of your energy. Yeah. You don't have unlimited energy. You have it when there's sun, and then you don't have it, or you have a certain amount of battery, right? So
yeah, we have a deep freezer. Like we don't have capacity to run like the Vitamix or like even a slow cooker
during the day.
Just at all.
Well, no, a slow cooker definitely, because heating elements, anything with heating elements on a solar system is like, heating is what takes up the most energy, like multiple times more than anything that doesn't have a heating element.
Yeah, I'm learning that.
Yeah.
But we have like a deep freezer that's on low.
Yeah.
And so that's our refrigerator, and we just unplug it at night. We don't have enough sun to keep it plugged. But I'm actually going to get a steer pot.
A what?
Oh, no, what do they call them? So what Rosa and Gustavo used to do is they put a pot, and then you put rocks or sand, and then you put water in there, and you put another pot inside, and you put your vegetables in there, and it's like a refrigerator.
Right.
So I'm excited to try that.
Old school stuff. I like it.
Yeah.
Cool. And did you guys, you feel like you're still like getting to know the area, or are you like, we're here, you were rooted?
Yeah, no, I feel very rooted here. I love the community. I love being here. Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now that we're in Tacotal, I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear that. Oh, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I'm thinking of like, what can I plant? There's no sun.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing is like the land there was nobody living there. So managing it, like trees in 5 years, and no one was really managing. Like Gustavo comes and goes, and he does manage it, but he's not. Yeah, and he keeps the bees, of course. So yeah, you have bees. There's a lot of bees on that.
Oh yeah,
and mariolas, all kinds of bees. I love it.
Yeah, the little barrels, they're just all right there.
Yeah. But yeah, like as far as like managing forests, like I'm really into like forest management, and like I think being here, I want to have a lot of openness and a lot of like it's just like having some separation from the natural forest, and also a place to grow fruit trees, which is part of permaculture, is creating your zones. So your zone 1 is, close to your home, and then zone 2 is where your gardens is. And, living in a zone 4 forest isn't necessarily for everybody.
Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah.
But James is having fun with the machete.
Okay. Yeah, of course. So James is the guy that's always running around with swords anyways. Now he's comes in.
I just hear.
Good. Well, hopefully this, the other thing is like learning to know what you're cutting, because sometimes.
So I'm cutting the little things.
Right.
Yeah, but we have an app.
Oh, you do?
Like a plant identifier.
Oh, cool. Yeah, of course. And how are the kids?
They love it.
So you have 2 kids. Their ages what?
7 and 9.
7 and 9.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they love it. And we still go. They have their one core friend in La Ecovilla. And so we spend so much time there. Plus, I'm doing my classes, my Thai massage. So I joke that we're there just as much as we were.
James was working at the school. Is he still? No?
No.
Okay.
No.
And are you working like any regular job, or just kind of freelancing right now?
I'm mainly freelancing. I'm doing a 300-hour teacher training at Larry's house.
You're teaching.
It's going to be, so what I'm wanting to do, and I'm putting it out there slowly, is it's a 300-hour yoga regenerative lifestyle program. So instead of it just being all yoga, I'm wanting to include more of the regeneration, because yoga is ultimately all about nature. And I'm wanting to bring in more of these elements of living in community and how we can learn to live more in alignment with nature.
And that's amazing. I think I love that. I think that's super, that's a super great idea. Like Sarah Wu has, she took her loves of herbalism and permaculture and merged them into one course. It's called Permaculture for the Herbalist Path. You can do the same thing with yoga. It's like yoga and community. It's like, we each have our specific things that we're really well suited for, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. That's exciting. And you're teaching that when?
That's going to be June 10th through July 1st. It's a 3-week intensive.
And you're teaching it in La Ecovilla?
Yeah.
At Larry's house?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be like, we'll have the whole house and everyone will sleep probably on the floor, because that's another thing I'm very passionate about.
Oh, about sleeping on the floor?
Yeah. Just a minimal furniture lifestyle.
I remember this. I visited your house in Texas, and there wasn't that much. Wait, remember you didn't have like a regular kitchen table. We sat on the floor.
Yeah, we cut the legs off.
Did that come? I mean, is this like I thought it was like a Lebanese tradition.
Oh, no.
This is some Lebanese stuff right here. It's like, no.
Yeah, no, it is very like Mediterranean and Japanese. But no, I didn't get it from that.
Okay.
No, it's a mechanical thing.
Yeah.
It's just that we're designed to move. And our furniture is like, if the American household is like, you have a big sofa and then a coffee table and then tables on either side, and then you have these big beds and the furniture, like you can't even do a cartwheel in your home.
Right.
So the idea is that you can actually move and dance and let your body do what it's designed to do.
Yeah,
you sit on the floor.
Right.
Squatting is the number one reason. What number one thing a woman can do to keep her pelvic floor supple? Like
keep her pelvic floor supple.
Squat, ladies.
Right.
Men squat.
What about men? Yeah. What is it? Probably good for us
too. For us to get the blood flow.
Yeah. Yes, I remember visiting you, and your kids were sword fighting in the house. James,
and James got you to sword fight too.
Oh yes, we're still working on that one. No, it was super fun. I'm glad we had that connection, the Texas, Costa Rica connection. Yeah. Do you still go back there ever?
Yeah, we're going back in April.
Oh,
it's been over a year.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's going to be like.
Does your mom cook an amazing Lebanese meal?
My mom was a working mother.
She was a working mom. Grandma.
She would always chop things bigger than what I was
able of eating.
No, I think she cooked very well. I was married to a Palestinian whose mom was a really, really good cook, and I learned how to cook a lot of the Lebanese and Mediterranean dishes from that. family and from being Jordan. And so like I learned how to do things more of a traditional way. And my mom was like, the generations past, like, you know, you kind of make a bunch of shortcuts. The traditional dishes.
Yeah. Similar with my mom's Italian, but she's Italian American.
But she uses Prego.
Not Prego, but yeah. Yeah, no. She'll use like tomato paste and but it's like pre-made. It's not like she's like boiling down tomatoes and, you know, harvesting and growing. You know, it's like traditional Italian. That's what they're going to do. But so, yeah. And you just mentioned you were married prior. So you grew up with James and then you married someone else.
I married at 19 and I was married for a few years to a Palestinian immigrant. And I had a trophy wife.
Trophy wife. This is right. I'm remembering this. You were a trophy wife. What does it mean to be a trophy wife? What does that mean?
Well, I just wore a lot of high heels and dressed up a bunch and went and ate really yummy, expensive food. And
it means you had a rich husband who took care of you and you were just the hottie on his arm.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so you lived that life.
Like, even though it wasn't me, I just kind of, because I was so young, I just like did that for a little bit.
Right. And is it okay to say, I think he passed away, right?
He did pass away.
You helped him transition, right? Wasn't that part of your...
We separated and, but yes.
You separated before he passed.
Yeah, but we were still really close and remained really close until the last time. But he was sick the whole time. It was a really challenging thing to be married to someone who was sick. And that's why we didn't have kids.
Oh. And then when did you, and then were you like always in love with James or like did that come in?
No.
I'm so curious about that.
No.
Ew. Well, you just ew.
No, because like his mom told me, like I was probably this is probably after they died. His mom was like, you know, James really loves you. And I was like, what? No way.
Your mom told you that?
No, James's mom. And I was like, no.
Oh.
And so I was like not interested because people thought he was like the weird one, you know, which, you know, James, he's a character. He's very has his own personality. And, yeah.
But you...
Just at the right time, he like approached me and I was like, well, I'll just see what this is like. And, you know, one thing led to another. And
now you got 2 kids. You're living in Costa Rica off the grid.
One thing I love about James is anything I'm down for, he's pretty much down for. I really respect that about him.
Yeah, he's open.
Yeah, he's open.
Yeah.
He's open to moving here. We had our kids at home births, you know.
And you two have a similar spiritual practice? Like he's Muslim. Are you
it's the first time I've publicly gone out of a closet with that.
What? Well, what?
Well, you know,
is it a secret?
This concept of Islam because of 9/11, and now there's like this war on Islam, and everyone thinks that they are oppressive to women, and that's really sad and not true at all.
Well, maybe certain sects are. I mean, that's the reality. Like Islam is also one of the 3 major world religions, and it's like, or 4 or 5, whatever. There's a lot of world religions, but like it's one of the major ones. And in it, there's multiple sects and there's multiple ways of viewing it. I mean, there's Sufism.
Right. I would say we're generally more like a Sufism, but I don't like to say that because Sufis are Muslim, but they kind of rejected Islam as their name. But Islam actually started as a non-religion. And it was meant to unite believers of God.
Right.
And so for me, Islam is just yoga. And it's a way to unite, you know, people who believe in God. And I don't call myself an atheist. I just consider myself a believer.
And I'm sad to hear that you feel like you have to like, I hope we didn't out you. Like this was meant to like, shocking, Ali's a Muslim. No, I mean, it's like, it is what it is. I mean, I think all religions have, you know, different sects. Like I said, it's like Sufism to me is very, very different from like fundamental, you know, certain fundamental sects. It's like the difference between fundamental Christians and versus like, Unitarian Universalists, you know, It's like you can believe in God and believe in a certain path without like believing that things have to be a certain way that very strict and.
Yes. Well, I think that goes with any tradition. Even in yoga, there's a lot of, dogma and,
Yeah,
it's everywhere.
and I think
Nature.
and I think it's good to talk about it actually, because I think people like, when you don't know a lot of Muslims, you think like all Muslims are this way, or just what you hear on TV or whatever. But meeting people that, practice in their own way, it's like, oh, well, not everybody who identifies as this is like that way, because,
I have never met an oppressed Muslim, and I've spent a lot of time in Jordan.
Okay. You spent time in Jordan.
Yeah. Like 9 months total. We kept going back because my previous husband's family lived there.
Wow.
Because they got kicked out of the States. That's a long story, but yeah.
Okay. That's another.
They overstayed the visa.
Well,
yeah.
Interesting. And yes, there's obviously a lot of turmoil going on in the Middle East. So sending love, I bet that must be. Do you feel that? Do you feel like, does it affect you, or are you pretty much like, don't let it?
At first, when all this kind of started re-emerging, but I've come to find peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can we do? We're here.
Yeah.
We can be here.
We can do as much as we can here and not spread stories and not retell stories that aren't going to help the ultimate solution. Like I could say a lot of things that would support the Palestinian suffrage movement, right? Like pro that. And I did that for a long time, but it doesn't do anything. It just perpetuates the hate,
Yeah.
It's more dividing. So I don't want to tell those stories.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it starts, is we have to be willing to let go of those stories.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's nice to get to know you. Hopefully our guests or our viewers have enjoyed learning a little bit more about you. Thank you, Ali Nohinek. And if you want to check out the Radiant Sun Academy, where can they find it?
RadiantSunAcademy.com.
And you are on Instagram?
I do have an account, but I'm not very active right now. But
okay.
Maybe that's
so more online, direct, Radiant Sun Academy.
Right now, yeah.
.com. Thank you, Ali.
You can follow the handle. It'll slowly, I'll start to post it. Yes, and I'm sure. Yeah.
TikTok.
No, oh, gosh.
Ali on TikTok.
I tried. Did you see I got on months ago?
I didn't.
You did. You waved at me.
Oh, maybe I did. Okay. But I don't know. I'm not on there either. So anyways, it was the rainy season. I was bored probably. Thank you, everybody. This is Ali Nohinek. Thank you for being on the show. I'm your host, Matthew Human. This is La Vida Verde podcast. We release episodes every Tuesday at noon. You can catch us on YouTube, where you will see Ali and me live. You can listen on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. We also are on Instagram at Finca Vida Verde CR, on Facebook, Finca Vida Verde. And we have a Patreon, which we are just starting to really ramp up with some cool stuff. We would love your support. Also, I want to give a big shout out. I have never done this before to a product sponsor, but to Eco Teas Yerba Mate, which has been supporting me for over 10 years with mate and giving me good energy. I love my Eco Teas. Thank you. We're looking for more product sponsors. Come check us out if you're interested in being a part of this. Thank you so much, Ali, and we'll see you next time. Pura vida.
Pura vida.